Good afternoon. My name is David Ellison Sr. I'm the pastor of the New Victorious Baptist Church. And there are a few words that we want to give you to encourage you from our young people. Please listen to them and take it to heart. And as always, be blessed and be safe.
Previously on MCC.
I would say that a lot of people don't do the due diligence before they get married.
People show you one thing, and once you are married or live with them, they show you another.
It is a difficult thing for somebody to pretend to be someone they're not for extended amounts of time. Now, it's a lot easier. It'd be a lot easier. It was, and let me go. It was a lot easier for me to act like I was somebody I wasn't, as long as I was getting what I wanted, and that'd be whether I was getting it from the person I'm dating or not. As long as I'm getting what I wanted, I can. As long as we together, I can pretend and say all the right things Timothy says. But if we're trying to do it, if we're doing it like the Bible directs us to do it, eventually, it's a difficult thing to date for a year and a half, and we're not sinning, we're not committing fornication, we're not doing those things, but we're spending the time. We're every day we're with each other or talking to each other or whatever. It's difficult to pretend that you're somebody that you're not. Eventually at some point, who you are is gonna come out. Okay? And the only way to keep that up for those extended amount of times is that there are going to be times where they're going to stay away from you from times too. And so that's when, so that way they can be themselves when they're away from you, and then be what they want you to see when they're with you. Now, if we do it right, and when we get married, and two virgins marry each other, that physical connection also brings with it a emotional and psychological connection that a lot of people these days don't get or don't recognize, because we wasn't virgins when we got married. We gave that to somebody else. And so those things that make you cleave, that's what God's design was. And He put all that in us to make us cleave to each other. When we get married, we leave our fathers and mothers and cleave, and particularly it says a man. But it makes it more difficult when the man, since it says a man, when the man has slept around before he got married, for the connections that he's supposed to have to be there. And so divorce becomes easier. It makes it difficult when even the person he married, if they slept together prior to marriage, makes it more difficult for that connection to be how it's supposed to be or was meant to be, that the connection followed the commitment. And so people get divorced for whatever, because there's something Satan brings in the forefront of our minds that we can go get this somewhere else. Or somebody else, we can do that without all the issues that come along with commitment. And so that was a great point that prior to the marriage, and I think that First Corinthians, in fact, that First Corinthians passage, and I can't call the chapter, but it deals with when a saved person has married an unsaved person, which should never happen. If we do it according to Scripture, a saved person should never marry an unsaved person. Now, there may be an instance where two unsaved people got married and one got saved and the other didn't. But there should never be an instance where a saved person marries an unsaved person. But it happens. And so then we have to deal with all the problems that go along with it because we didn't do it the way God said to do it. And so, according to the Bible, God's plan, His design, and His desire is that the believer, the Christian, does not divorce. And then there are all kinds of scripture and all kinds of teaching throughout the New Testament for believers on how we should love and how we should marry, how we should join ourselves together, how we should grow together, to grow as Christians individually as well as together, which then would mean our bond is getting stronger, we're growing closer together, and so the likelihood of one person sinning in the manner that was allowed in the law is lessened, and those other minor issues, even though we have them, we're able to work them out through Scripture and through prayer and with the Lord's help. And whenever we don't seek to the Lord to help us, then our minds will always have a carnality to them, and we'll always come to the places where we think, well, I can do better without them. I really don't have to go through all this that I have to go through with him or with her. I can do something different, and that's always a temptation that Satan brings to marry people. Okay, and so we have to learn or seek to try to do it God's way in order to avoid that temptation. I'm at the place, I've been married almost 27 years, and at this point, as frustrated as I become at times, I ain't going nowhere. Ain't no need to even talk about that. Ain't no need thinking about that. That's something Satan can't really tempt right now. Don't know what'll happen in the future, but that's something he can't tempt me with right now. Because, first of all, I know that's not what God's design is. That's not what His desire is. And I have to admit, didn't do it right in the beginning, but thank God we did have some parameters and some requirements that had to do with serving God. And so we've grown to a place where we allow God to try to direct us and lead us. And so, which is why the Bible is clear that you don't unevenly yoke yourself with an unsaved person, because then that can't happen in your relationship. And that's whether it's marriage or friendship or anything else.
Well, what a great discussion, guys. Thank you so much for engaging. Thanks to Reverend David for his wonderful comments. And if you have any questions or anything that you guys would like to hear us talk about, just shoot us a comment or anything like that, and let us know. If you have any questions about anything that we talked about today, let us know, and we'll see y'all next time.